Hello and welcome to Big Friendly Grub. I hope you are well, and I'm very excited today because I get to do one of my favourite things today, and that's slow cooked meat. I am a sucker for barbecue and slow cooked smoked meat. Now unfortunately I live in a flat, don't have a barbecue, don't have a smoker, maybe one day, but until then I have to improvise. So today I'm going to be showing you how to do some slow cooked meats at home, so you don't need a barbecue, you don't need a smoker. I'm just going to be using the oven for one and a slow cooker for another. And I'm going to do this with some help from these dry rubs from Smoke Church. Rivage at Smoke Church has recently started up his business of like dry barbecue rubs, and he very kindly sent me a couple across. So I wanted to try these out on these recipes today. We've got one that's called Dirty Steak, which is kind of suitable for things like steak, beef, things like that. And it's also got like pig on it, so it's good for pork, and a chicken on there, so it's good for chicken as well. But with a name like Dirty Steak, you probably want to use it mostly on beef. Then he sent me another one called brisket. I think I said that right, hopefully I said that right. And it is going to be mostly probably for chicken, best off, but actually you can have it on beef, lamb, pork, chicken, I think that's seafood and fish. So it's pretty much suitable for everything. But I'm going to use it on chicken today because that seems like, with a name like brisket, that seems like the thing to do. Now you might see this one's half empty, or half full if you're optimistic today. And that's because I actually got started last night, because I didn't just want to use this on steak. I wanted to use this on brisket, and brisket is one of my favourite cuts of meat because it's not super expensive and it just tastes amazing when it's slow cooked. It's just wonderful. Brisket is one of my favourite things, and you get burnt ends off of brisket as well, so double extra amazing. I haven't had brisket for so long, and I wanted to try and do it in the oven today. So last night I got started, I got a nice piece of brisket from my local supermarket. It's not super expensive. For the cut of meat you see on screen now, it's about 20 quid for a really nice big cut of meat. It goes a long way, but it's best off slow cooked, just because it is a cheaper cut of meat, which means it needs long, slow cooking. That makes it ideal for going in the oven for long periods of time, smokers, barbecues, and slow cookers. So with this cut, I just trimmed off the fat off the top, because when you want to rub your dry rub in, you want to get it into the meat, you don't want to get it into the fat, it won't soak in there. So I just carefully cut off the top layer of the top cap, I think it's called. And then I got some of my Dirty Steak dry rub, and I just rubbed it all into the meat, both sides, making sure to get into basically every single grain of that lovely meat. And then I wrapped it up in some cling film and I popped it in the fridge overnight. And that's left me with this. It smells incredible. It's all wrapped up in cling film. I can smell all those flavours permeating through. It smells incredible. So this is going to have a long slow cook in the oven. So it's not the biggest cut of brisket. I mean, if you see the ones that they have in America, they're huge, absolutely huge. They need hours and hours and hours. This one shouldn't need as long. So I'm just going to start off by getting this in the oven now. So I've got this lovely bit of brisket here, which is well marinated in all those spices. And this is just going straight in on that rack at 145 degrees C. It's about 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can see I've just got a tray underneath there to catch any juices, fat, dripping, stuff like that. And it's going straight onto the rack just to let it be able to circulate all that air around it to make sure it gets a good, even cook. So I'm going to close that door, and it's going to have 3 hours probably, just at that low temperature, and then it's going to come out and get wrapped up. So I just got to leave this now for probably about 3 hours, I would say. Now for the second rub, like I said, I'm going to be using chicken, and I had a look at the description on here. And it says, this rub is unique and took us by surprise. We set out to create a hot and mildly sweet rub with Indian flavours that work well with chicken, and it did the job to a T. And I had a smell of it, and it has got all those like curry flavours that you would associate with an Indian, spices and things like that. It smells amazing. It's kind of things like cumin and all those sorts of flavours in it. So I thought, I still want to do slow cooked meat, but let's just mix it up a little bit. Let's not like just create like a curry with it or something like that. So I'm going to take a whole chicken, I'm going to rub it in that amazing smelling rub, get it all into that skin. I'm not leaving it overnight because it is going straight onto the skin, so it doesn't really penetrate into the skin as much as it would like the actual meat itself. So I'm going to rub it in those spices, and then I'm going to put it into the slow cooker with some stock, with some chilies and some ginger, some turmeric and stuff like that. All those flavors you would associate with a curry, and then also some coconut milk. So we kind of are doing like, sort of like a curry, but not, we're slow cooking it. And I've never slow cooked a whole chicken before, so I really want to see how it comes out. And so it is a bit of an experiment on my part, but I am really excited to see how this will turn out. So let's go and give my meat a good old rub.
Give your meat a good old rub. Give your meat a good old rub. Give your meat a good old rub. Yeah, boy. Give your meat a good old rub. Give your meat a good old rub. Give your meat a good old rub. Nice and hot. Remember, you want to do this for about 24 hours. Maybe even 48 hours, but no longer than that, otherwise it starts to break down the meat. Give your meat a good old rub. Give your meat a good old rub. Give your meat a good old rub. Yeah, boy. Give your meat a good old rub. Give your meat a good old rub.
I'm going to pop that to one side just while I prepare some of the other spices to go into basically the stock. So now I'll prepare my veg and other spices that are going to go in with my stock into my stock pot here. So I'm just going to start off with an onion, which I've already chopped the top off and chop the bottom off as well. I'm just doing this roughly. I don't want to be neat or stand on ceremony for it. So I'm just going to roughly chop this up like so. Just want enough onion, whoops, just enough onion to kind of cover the bottom of that. So I've got some garlic cloves. I've got half a bowl of garlic here. I'm just going to break those off. Chop the ends, just going to crush each one of these, peel off the skin and pop them in. 2 red chilies here, 1 large one, 1 smaller one. I'm just going to slice these up, in that all goes as well. Then I've got some fresh ginger, which I'm just going to chop up as well. I'm leaving the skin on as well. It's all just going in there for flavour. We're not eating any of it. It goes. And I've also got a little bit of fresh turmeric as well, because I saw that in the supermarket. And I thought, oh, my battery's going to die on me, and it did. But no, I saw this in the supermarket and I thought, oh, that'd be nice. So I've never actually used fresh turmeric before, but I know it's a strong flavour, so I'm not using a huge amount, just a small part of it. So in that goes as well. I'm going to place in my chicken. That should just about fit. Yes, it does. If you had a bigger chicken, that wouldn't fit, but it all depends on your stock pot or crock pot or slow cooker. That's the one. Crock pot is a brand. Slow cooker is actually what it is. Then I'm placing that into the slow cooker. It's set to high, which is about 145 degrees C, about 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm going to pour in some chicken stock. And I'm also going to pop in a whole tin of coconut milk, just to add a bit of extra basically, just to be extra. And just pop in a stick of cinnamon and a couple of bay leaves. On goes the lid. Make sure it's sealed on. Then I'm going to let that just cook slowly, probably for about 5 hours, maybe 6, because I just want some really lovely tender chicken at the end of all this. And I'm going to be really interested to see how it comes out, because I've never slow cooked a whole chicken before. So my brisket's had a good, probably about, it had about 2.5 hours in the oven. I didn't give it as long as 3 hours like I said I would, because I don't want to basically obliterate it. So I've got it on some baking paper here, because it's going to go back into the oven in this baking paper to try and seal in a lot of the moisture that's still in there. So I'm going to fold this over like so, and like this again. Make sure it's all well sealed in. Then I'm going to pop that back in on the pan, which I was using earlier to catch all the juices. There's no point in making more mess. And I've turned the oven down to 120 degrees C, and I'm probably going to give that another 1 to 2 hours wrapped up in that paper, and just hopefully I'll get a lovely tender brisket from that. So back in it goes, and we'll be back in probably an hour or 2. And because I can't remember whether I mentioned it, but that's on 120 degrees C. Okay, my brisket's been back in the oven for about an hour in the paper. So I'm going to unwrap this. So I want to get even more flavour into this and more moisture. So I've got about 1/4 litre of beef stock here. And because obviously we're not smoking this, it's not on a barbecue, but we want to get some more of that like smoky flavour into it. To complement the rub, I'm going to use this stock and add about 1/2 tablespoon's worth of liquid smoke. and a couple of tablespoons worth of barbecue sauce in there as well. I'm using a nice sticky and sweet barbecue sauce. Stir that all together. And I'm going to brush over some of this liquid marinade. Let's call it a marinade for simplicity's sake. Then with that brushed in that marinade, I'm going to wrap it up again. Try and seal it in as nice as I can. Then I'm going to lower the temperature down to 100 degrees C. Then I'm going to pop that back into the oven, but probably about every 15 minutes I'm going to brush it some more in that marinade just to get that moisture in there and just make sure it's hopefully lovely, tender and juicy. Right, after another hour where I've basted it every 15 minutes, it's looking really nice. It smells amazing. Oh, it's very, very hot, as would be expected. Now, I don't want to give this any longer on the risk of overcooking it, so I'm going to give it like 15 minutes or so, perhaps just to rest, let some of those juices all kind of relax and just go back into there. But it looks incredible, it smells incredible. Hopefully, it will taste incredible. Usually I do this in the slow cooker, but I really wanted to try this in the oven today to see how it came out. So fingers crossed, this is going to be amazing. So I'm just going to wrap that back up and give it 15 minutes to rest. And while that rests and relaxes, I can pay attention to the chicken. So this has had about 5 hours now, I think. And there's some amazing smells coming from in there. You already see over here, like the meat is just coming off the bone on these legs. So I'm going to try and take this out. I'll try and get under here. Oh yeah, you can. That's not going to come out there in one go. It might have to come out in bits. Absolutely falling apart. Oh yeah, look, that is just falling apart. That meat is just gone completely and utterly tender. That's amazing. That is cooked really well. You know, that is absolutely fallen apart, which is no bad thing because you know it is tender. It's going to be so succulent. I think all I want to do is take these, organise it on a tray, and perhaps just stick this under the grill for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, just to try and get some crispiness on that skin. But apart from that, it looks amazing. It's just completely fallen apart, which is a good sign. Right, I've just moved the crown of the chicken onto a tray. I'm using the same tray as I was using for my brisket, just to save on washing up, basically. And that's going to go under the grill for a few minutes. I don't want to burn it, I just want to get some colour on it, maybe a little bit of crispiness. I've only put the crown on because basically all that meat off the drumsticks and the thighs has just come away from the bone, which you can see over here. It is so moist and tender and wonderful, and it's amazing. There's a bone in there. It's just absolutely 100% clean. So I'm just popping this under the grill for a few minutes just to crisp up that skin, or at least get some colour on it. It doesn't have to be crisp, but just a bit of colour. Right, after only a couple of minutes under the grill, you can see there's some lovely colour and charring on that skin now, and it smells amazing. A bit onion there, but that looks amazing. Just smells so good. We've got all that lovely tender meat off the legs and thighs there. And hopefully what will be the pièce de résistance, or however you say it. Now I'm going to cut away some slices of this. Oh yeah, it's got some lovely colour on there. In fact, you can see it's got kind of like a bit of a ring going around it where that flavour's absorbed in. Look at that, it's got some lovely moisture to it. It's not as tender as it would be as if it was done like a slow cooker or a smoker or something like that, but it's still really nice and tender. Anyway, I've had these smells going around the flat for like 5 hours now, so I just want to dig in and try a little bit of everything. A little bit of the leg and the thigh, a bit of the breast, and some of this brisket. So there we go, some lovely brisket and some so succulent chicken. The sun's really bright now. Actually, I might bring the blinder down a little bit because there's too much light here. There we go, that's better. We can see that a bit better now. So there we go, a lovely brisket, some super succulent chicken and all that meat off the breast and thighs. Not the breast, that's the breast. Thigh and drumsticks, that's what I meant. So yeah, it's taken a while, but I think it's worth it. To be honest, with the brisket, I mean, that could be even more tender because that's my first time doing a brisket in the oven. But it's turned out really well. It's got a lovely smoke ring around it. Might be able to see that around the edge. And hopefully it's got a nice bite to it. Oh, that is tasty. It looks well done, but it's really tender. It's not like you would get in a smoker or anything like that. And to be honest, I can probably refine this and get it even more tender. But for a first attempt, I'm happy with that. It tastes amazing. I'm going to try some of this chicken now, which is just literally, it's falling apart. Oh, that is the tenderest chicken I've probably ever had. It's absolutely melting in the mouth. I'm going to try a bit of the skin where all that flavour was rubbed in. Oh yeah, that is really nice. It's got a kick of spice to it, but it's got like all those wonderful Indian flavours. Oh yeah, the heat comes through afterwards. Very nice, very, very nice indeed. And the flavour on the brisket is lovely as well. It's really peppery, which is kind of what you want from like a steak on your beef. I'm just going to try some of this super tender like thigh and drumstick meat. Oh, it's so tender. I'm going to put that down because it's heavy. Yeah, so I'm really happy with that. That's come out really nicely. It just goes to show what you can do at home with good meats and slow cooking, and you don't have to always do the same thing all the time. I want to refine that brisket because I think it can be more tender. It's just trying to figure out the right balance for that brisket, the cooking times and things like that. But the flavour through it was amazing. That rub is really nice. It's got that nice pepperiness to it. And that chicken is so tender. And that flavour on it was amazing. That spice is really nice on that rub. It's just so good. So yeah, that was just a couple of ideas that you could do with doing slow cooked meats at home, trying to mix up a bit. Obviously there's other ideas which maybe I'll do in a future video, but I wanted to try something with those rubs, try and put them through their paces with something that wasn't necessarily as obvious as perhaps putting them straight onto the chicken and roasting it in the oven, or putting it onto a steak or something like that. I wanted to try out something different, and that came out really nicely. I think I can improve on those even more another time, but for putting the rubs through their paces, it was great. So, so tasty. So if you like the sound of those spices and rubs from Smoked Church, then I'm going to put all the details in the description down below, down here somewhere. But they were super tasty, those two. Really, really nice. Lovely spice, pepperiness from that steak one, and the chicken one, really nice kick, nice spice and Indian flavours on it. Really good. Anyway, that's it from me today. I've done a lot of cooking. I'm super sweaty. It's really warm today. It's end of Feb and it's warm again. I mean, it's lovely, but it's too hot to be doing all this cooking in this heat. So I'm going to head off. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful. Do check out Smoked Church. It's really kind of them to send that stuff to me. But otherwise, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it useful. All the usual stuff. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to find out when new videos are going up. But otherwise, I will see you next time on Big Friendly Grub. Bye! Hello and welcome to Big Friendly Grub. Fall over. Be a great start to a video, just fall over. I don't even drink anymore.